What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, as always, yes, we have some more pretty darn depressing Battlefield 2042 news. And it's not really bad news about the game currently and how it's performing. It's mostly news that happened before the launch of Battlefield 2042. Actually, I believe a full year from now is when this news was actually, circulating around. And we're just hearing about it, I believe, a couple of days ago. So we're going to be talking about that for today's video. But before we actually get into the commentary, just very quickly, if you guys want to check out any of my live streams, I live stream pretty much every single day over on my Twitch streams. We have a fantastic family over there, a bunch of amazing people chatting it up pretty much every single day. And we always branch across all games. We play Vanguard, Warzone, sometimes Black Ops Cold War, Halo Infinite, Battlefield 2042, and we also play a lot of classics as well, like Modern Warfare 2, BO2, and maybe Battlefield 4 every once in a while. It's a lot of different games over there that I think a lot of you guys will probably enjoy. So if you guys have some extra time to spare, by all means, go down to the description of this video, check out my Twitch channel, leave a follow, and I'll catch you guys in the live stream. But ladies and gentlemen, I think I made this very clear in a lot of my previous videos that one of the most crucial factors to making a Battlefield game feel next gen is not only the destruction and also the player count that actually works on, reasonable maps that are made around that player count, which, didn't happen in Battlefield 2042, but also the weather features. As we all know, a massive weather feature was introduced into this game, the tornadoes, and I gotta say, visually, they are stunning. I mean, just look up into the sky and look at the detail in those bad boys. It's just, it really is something different, and it's phenomenal to see that in a Battlefield game. But one thing that I was really worried about was how long is that tornado going to be a fun feature in this game? You know what I'm saying? I also made a couple of commentaries in the past also talking about how they should have had other, actual weather features. And a lot of you guys came up with some good ones as well, like volcanoes or certain massive explosions that can change the whole format of the map, earthquakes, tsunamis, all different weather features that we have come up with that we thought would be phenomenal and would add more replayability to some of these maps, because basically every single map that we see right now is a tornado, and a lot of these maps have some pretty cool areas, volcanic looking areas, water, ocean areas that could easily flood and, take over part of the map. There's so many opportunities across the whole battlefield in Battlefield 2042 that you would think they would take advantage of, but sadly, we didn't see anything. We only saw one weather feature, and as predicted, it's just getting basically stale. I mean, there's already not enough maps in the game as there is. The destruction has been toned down, which is ridiculous. They should have 110% stuck with 64 players and just worked around that so they can add more crazy, live events that could happen in these maps. But because it's 128 players, and, the hardware has to be able to hold this game, which is already hard enough to run it in the first place, they weren't really able to go all out with the destruction. So, no maps, no destruction, no variety in weapons. And then, of course, no variety and weather features to at least spice up the maps, because that's what weather's all about. Each and every map could have multiple events that could make it a brand new experience. But only having a tornado is not a new experience. It's the same thing over and over again, which, once again, gets stale. But like I said in the beginning of this video, some news has come out about Battlefield 2042's development cycle. Way earlier, I believe, it was said in summer of 2022. And like I said, if you're like me and you were really expecting more out of their claims of this game being next gen, then this is going to be really, really, really disappointing for you guys to hear. But Tom Harrison over on Twitter went ahead and said, a summer 2020 presentation of Battlefield 2042 contained earthquakes, fire tornadoes, tsunamis, and volcano eruptions. But due to lack of time, they needed to just focus on the twister. The game needed another year. This killed me, because I always thought in the back of my head that, yeah, maybe they did, run into some complications and stuff like that, but I just keep picturing this game with so much more variety and atmosphere. And then to see this news, come up, to confirming basically that there was a lot of variety, there was a lot of atmosphere, there was earthquakes, fire tornadoes, not just twisters, but fire tornadoes as well, tsunamis, and volcano eruptions. You're telling me all of these features were in a presentation for Battlefield 2042, but EA pushed this game out so quickly and refused to give DICE the time they needed that all of it had to be scrapped, and they gave us a twister instead. Just a single twister instead of having all of this variety. Do you know what this would have done for Battlefield 2042? You have no maps in this game. But imagine if one game you're playing and a freaking volcano erupts and a bunch of crap is flying around. And then the next game, half the map gets destroyed because of an earthquake. And then after that, instead of having the regular twister you always mess with, there's a freaking fire tornado coming in or tsunamis just completely crashing up whole maps. That would have added so much more variety and replayability to your game. Every time you load up a session or load into a map that you've already played, you might not get the same experience. You might play on a map like Orbital, for example. There's a tornado that comes in all the time, but it's also right next to a massive ocean. What if sometimes a tornado comes through, and then other times a tsunami comes through? Or what if both of them come through and destroy the whole map, add absolute chaos to the overall experience, and tear crap up? The game would have been accepted way more. Compared to other past Battlefield titles, the environment that we're playing in just doesn't feel as alive as it usually does. Even in games like Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 1, where they're old school classic, war games, World War II and obviously World War I, even those games had more atmosphere. Battlefield 1's atmosphere was just out of this world, along with the destruction as well. You would think that there's not that much destruction, but there is, and it felt fantastic to go ahead and mess around with that stuff. What happened between then to now? Why is it that, once again, like I said, they're claiming this game is supposed to be next gen, but it wasn't ready to be next gen? Just like Tom Henderson said here, the game needed another year. And I completely agree with that. Could you imagine if this game released in 2022 and they just kept on production with Battlefield 5? Yes, it would have hurt EA's pocket. Yeah, it wouldn't be too well. And yeah, they would also have to compete with the next upcoming Call of Duty game, which is probably going to be much more popular than Vanguard, because I think we can all, can come to a conclusion that the next game is going to be a Modern Warfare title, which is going to be huge for Activision. So yeah, they would have to compete with that. But my god, honestly, even putting it up against, a modern-day Call of Duty game, Battlefield 2042 would have been extremely popular if this game launched with all that stuff. Imagine if in the initial trailer they showcased all of those events happening, all the destruction that could have possibly been in this game along with those events occurring. And then on top of that, telling everybody that there's 128 players, but they had more time to make sure the game worked around 128 players, since over half of the maps don't even work correctly with this player count, in my personal opinion. I still think the theory that, all the maps in this game were just one massive BR map, and they didn't have that much time to create any, unique maps of their own, so they just separated all the BR maps out and just made them their own individual, sceneries. I still think that theory is true because, again, I don't think any of these maps play very well on 128. 64 players is just so much more enjoyable. But if DICE had that extra time to go ahead and develop this game, actually test it, make sure it plays correctly, and be able to add in all the functions and features that make a Battlefield game so great, this game would not be in its current position that it's in right now. And even putting it up, like I said, even putting it up against a Call of Duty game, a modern day title, Modern Warfare 2 or whatever they're going to call it, I think Battlefield 2042 would have 110% been able to hold its own. Hands down, I believe in that. And even though there would have been some criticism, and they might have been still, things being talked about, the specialists and stuff like that, at least DICE would have been able to put all their focus into that, instead of worrying about having to fix the game, fix the hit detection, fix the bugs and glitches, add in more content to actually make it more playable, make sure 128 players actually functions and plays better on the map designs. They would have not had to deal with any of that crap, and they could have just solely focused on the, the tiny lore complaints that the Battlefield community has about the game, and they could have made it a banger. But guess what? EA forced this game out. They forced DICE to just do whatever they could. They had to cut so many amazing ideas out of this game that could have been absolute bangers, and they gave us a half-assed project just to go ahead and meet a deadline. But ladies and gentlemen, go down in the comment section and leave your opinions down there about this whole situation. Do you guys think that the current weather feature, just the tornado, is good enough for Battlefield 2042, or do you agree that this game should have been given more time? EA should have, cut DICE some slack and give them what they needed to accomplish more than just a tornado. Could you imagine if this game launched with a freaking volcano and a tornado of fire tornadoes, tsunamis, and earthquakes? That would have just added so much more to the overall experience, and to me personally, that right there is what would have considered this game being more next-gen. Destruction and the current weather that we fight in the actual maps. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Also, if you're brand new and enjoy the content, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button. Also, want to chat with me, there's two ways to do so. I have a Twitter and Discord, both those links in the down description. And also want to catch me live stream some video games and over on Twitch. Link that's in the description as well. But guys, thanks so much for tuning in. See you on the next one. Peace out.